and to the point, even though you haven't seen me in over 2 months. Let's get this party started. 10 days of darkness. If you're for the last 5 or 6 years, there's going to be a little bit of stuff here that you're going to remember, that you're going to recognize. But this is really important. Now, do I need to cover up the comments, or can we be on our best behavior? We shall see. All right. Let's move some stuff out of the way. I'm thoroughly dressed over here because my heat has been going in and out since New Year's Eve. Not fun. Anyway, the heat's finally back on, but it's not quite warm in here. Hello, Rennie. How are you? Okay, there we go. So, I don't want to have a lag time in here, and I don't want to make this long and complicated and drawn out. If you've been with me for a while, there's a couple things that I'm about to say that you've heard, and it bears repeating in brevity, just so we understand the connection of the dots. I want to say to you, it's not that I'm completely ever out of the loop of anything, of course, because my neighbors, my friends, sometimes will give me information and tell me a little bit about what's going on. I have trained most of you not to do that anymore because I like to get things through intuition, psychic ability, clairaudience, clairsentience, all of that. And also I will remote view if I need to. In this situation, I have chosen not to remote view. As I mentioned that what you call Three Eye Atlas and what I have been told directly from that ship is Excalibur, and that's the actual name of the ship according to them. You and I are protected in this mission with the same protection that the president has. So it's not out of fear that I haven't shared these things, but it is because when I have a vision or start somehow tapping into information, a lot of times it happens very spontaneously and there's no effort on my part to tap in. I want to share with you what I've received about the 10 days of darkness, Starlink technology, and a couple of other things along those lines. Hello and welcome. This is not information that is coming from the military itself or underground channels or any of the people you listen to. This is me and my connection of the dots. I hope you will listen, and I hope you will listen very clearly to what I'm about to say. There are millions of us that know that there are prosperity funds that are coming. And some of us have known this for 20 years, some of us 2 years, some of us 20 minutes. Maybe somebody found out yesterday or this morning. That makes no difference. The important thing is, where are these prosperity monies coming from? And how does this connect to the 10 days of darkness and executive orders and all of that? I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. And again, this is my intuition. This is me tapping in. And this is some of these dots that I'm connecting right now go all the way back to 2015. I have not shared this information prior. This started coming around the end of November, and I have not shared it because when I spontaneously remote view or just start tapping into information, I don't know if it happened last week, if it's happening while I'm seeing it, or if it's something that's going to happen a year from now. Now, the normal people that follow me know this, but this is for the new people or maybe the people in the back of the class. Hello and welcome to everybody that's here. I want to try not to pay attention to your comments, and I apologize for this. It's not going to be a Q&A. I just want to give you a quick update. As I've said, no matter how long you've known about the prosperity funds, many of you know about the prosperity funds, the financial reset, the overturnment of the government, and everything else. We really have to pay attention when something comes to, our feed or comes to us through media and social media. When I was out walking, and I believe that was last Saturday, I'm like, it's 65 degrees in January. That's crazy. That's totally unheard of. Where is everybody? Nobody's like in January, people in Ohio normally in the circumstances would be grilling out, they'd be taking walks, they'd be riding bikes with their kids. Nobody, dead silence. And I said, where is everybody? And then all of a sudden, I just had this vision that everybody was glued to their television. That's why no one was grilling or walking or playing with their kids outside. So when I got home, I got a message from one of my friends that said, you better pay attention to what's going on in the news. And I had no idea. Not only am I not in the regular news media, social media feed, I'm not also playing in the underground or military or anything else. I want to give you a quick lowdown, and I hope that I can make some sense of this for you. I guess I should have gotten some water here. So anyway, why I don't look at the comments is it's there, and there are thousands of people who just get on here and say, hey, I'm having a shitty day, I'm having a shitty breakup, I want to lose weight. This is not what I use this platform for. I want to try to make this as clear and connecting the dots as I possibly can. If you have been with me for the last 4 or 5 years, as I've been making videos for you, with you, and conversating with you, you know that in 2015, I had a vision that Trump was pulled by a group of people called the Alliance into some kind of Faraday cage situation. I'm not military. I have no military background. I have no military insiders. I have none of that. So bear with my terminology and lack thereof when it comes to military terminology. In 2015, I saw Trump get pulled into a room that you can bet I was assured was bulletproof, soundproof, Wi-Fi proof, everything. Okay, I didn't know what that was at this time. And I knew what The Apprentice show was. So my thought was, why is the guy from The Apprentice been taken into this sort of Faraday cage room with an alliance? Okay. And just to reiterate, so we can connect the dots to those who don't know. In 2015, I saw what I can only describe as a debriefing. Approximately 7 different military men went through, and each person described the situation not only of the United States, but of the world to Trump. Okay, I could see each person talking, using their hands, whatever, given the scenario. Okay, I saw the entire thing, but I also, as the remote viewer, and again, this was a spontaneous remote view. This was not anything I was intentionally tapping into. I saw that each one of these 7 men took their time giving a debriefing to Trump. And again, the only thing that kept running through my mind is, why would they be talking to the guy from The Apprentice? Because I could very easily tell instantaneously that this was a military debriefing. Even though that room was soundproof, bulletproof, Wi-Fi proof, bug proof, everything. That's why I refer to it as a Faraday cage. At the very end, when they all debriefed him, the last guy said to him, due to these world circumstances and the worldwide corruption, will you run for president? And Trump was like, this. Okay, so this is the first he heard of it. In 2021, around New Year's Day, I think, or a couple days after New Year's, we had a couple days off and we were getting ready to watch a movie. And as we sat down to watch this movie, here comes this Faraday cage military room again. And this time it's President Trump with Elon Musk. At that time, what I knew about Elon Musk was that he was working on different kinds of technology. He had a battery company, and that was all I knew. So same scenario with Trump. I'm thinking, why the conversation between Elon Musk and Trump. Okay, so in 2015 was the inception of the idea of Starlink. I think they started really working on it in 2016. It became something that went up and started its test run in 2018. In 2019, it was being used in some places, and by 2020, you guessed it, Starlink was worldwide. Now, what does any of this have to do with us? If you've been around the block a time or two, like most of you have, we had been hearing about this 10 days of darkness. I've been hearing about it, I think, at least 10 years. Okay, some of you 2 weeks, some of you 2 years, doesn't matter. We've been hearing about the 10 days of darkness basically forever. Okay, and again, I have zero connection with social military insiders, any of that stuff. And most of you do not send me or tell me anything anymore because you know that is my choice and my free will. However, once in a while, somebody does still mention this thing to me. Okay. So we know about my vision with Trump being asked to run for president. We know that there was a secret meeting between Elon Musk and Trump. But do I know what it was? I do not, because once again, it was a conversation that I witnessed physically with my eyes. But once again, there was no sound. Okay, let's fast forward to where we are now. When we were out taking a walk on Saturday, and I said, no one's grilling, no one's walking a dog. What the heck's going on? It's 65 in January. That's amazing. I was walking around in shorts, okay? And when I asked that question, where is everybody? I had just tunnel vision of hundreds of thousands of television lights. And I was like, oh, everybody's watching the television. I had no idea what happened. As soon as I got home and my friend said, hey, look and see what's going on in the news, I looked it up and I saw that the president of Venezuela had been arrested. The world is freaking out. They're looking at this like the United States is a dictatorship that does whatever it wants, runs people over and controls people and all those things. And I could see without knowledge or awareness or information how one could come to that conclusion. However, as we know, the cabal or the shadow government, it's not just the United States. It's not just Brazil. It's not just China. It's not just Venezuela. There are these personnel of the cabal. There is personnel of the shadow government in almost every aspect of the government on the planet. You need to know that, okay? Now, you also need to know, because what I hear is a lot of people saying, oh my God, the United States, oh, we're the big bad brother, we're sneaking into a country. You think with the kind of military surveillance the big countries on this planet have, that we could just sneak into Venezuela unseen, unheard, and undetected to start arresting people? Okay, this is the tip of the iceberg, but it's also the good news, because you, the person who knows about the financial reset, you probably, hopefully, have an idea that the money for the reset, the money that then goes back to you and foundations and worthy causes and open communities, is coming from criminal money. So I've seen people talking for a decade. When's it going to happen? What's really happening? How do we know who's telling the truth? Well, you could have said, well, people were hoping that, by Christmas time last year, we were going to get money or whatever. But while you have shadow government hiding in every government on this planet, even if there was a reevaluation of currency, it wouldn't matter, because if they transferred it to my bank account, then the shadow government banking system can get right back in there. Okay? What happened in Venezuela is going to simultaneously happen in all these other countries. Now, from looking at the map, it's a little bit confusing to me. Cuba, Mexico, I don't know who's next. I have a feeling it's Iran, Iraq, or Cuba that's going to be next, and maybe it's simultaneously. Now, what I want to tell you, in case some of you are new to this and you don't know this, there was an executive order in 2000, December 20th of 2017. Okay. That was executive order number 13818. Okay. If you want to look this up for yourself, I'm not, having a hallucination over here. You can read this yourself. I always wonder why, instead of people guessing or trying to listen to media, what is going on in the US government, when all you have to do is look at what's been proposed on the congressional floor, what's passed in the Senate, and what executive orders have been done by who. Executive order from December 20th of 2017 is executive order number 13818, in case you want to look at it. And the brevity of that is anybody that is caught in a crime against humanity, planetary corruption, or human rights violations can have their assets immediately frozen, right? How does this change from any other thing we've dealt with before? Well, let's say I'm a person with money and I get, let's say they arrest me on criminal charges for crimes against humanity. Okay. What do? I sit at home. If I'm rich, if I'm wealthy, I sit at home for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, buying my time, paying my fines, and I get to live out my cushy, rich life over here until I can go to court and probably pay someone enough money to get me off. So the difference is with this executive order 13818, it says that anybody that's caught in worldwide corruption, human rights corruption, or any crime against humanity, United States, Brazil, China, doesn't matter, automatic freezing of assets. Okay. You want to know where the currency reevaluation and reset is coming from? It's coming from the shadow government's money that has been puppeted, funneled, stolen away from the people. Okay. That's where it's coming from. So, executive order number 13818 says crimes against humanity. Tina doesn't get to sit home and eat bonbons for 10 years and ponder the error of my ways and live my happy, healthy, rich life over here. That means immediate assets frozen. What does that mean? That means they can come and take my car. That means they can come and lock me out of my house. That means every asset that these people have can be immediately frozen. Okay? They're not arresting people and pulling them in and then looking for reasons to arrest them or throwing in jail. They are not arresting anyone that they do not have a previous indictment for. Now, if you don't understand that process, please feel free to look it up. An indictment is when it already goes past so many weights and measures of proving that this person actually committed this crime with enough evidence that they have an indictment to arrest these people. It started with the Venezuelan government. And I'm telling you, don't get too involved. Whether did the Venezuelan government, did this particular person really do this, or is he singing like a songbird to get everyone else? Don't get caught up in all that right now. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening here is a good thing. Okay, so I want to repeat to you again that the money, the financial reset, will not happen until the corruption is taken out of the system altogether. The funneling, the trafficking, the banking, it has to be completely removed from the algorithm before any reset, before any financial freedom is coming back, to anybody on this planet, individually, as a group, as a corporation, any other things like that. Okay, so what is happening by the fact that, and again, remember, what I'm telling you is they're not arresting people and leaders of countries on suspicion. There are already indictments, okay? So we go back to why that executive order from 2017 is so important. And I actually had to look it up before I made this video because I figured, you know what, Biden probably just ixed this particular executive order. It probably, maybe it doesn't exist anymore. That's what that shadow government would have liked, but apparently they didn't pull that off. Executive Order 13818 still exists. The indictments are already there. They've been here for the last couple years. Okay, they've been sealed. They are being unsealed. We have seen some low-level arrests in the different departments of things already within the government. But this is huge. What this means is nobody's getting arrested right now as heads of state or leaders of country where there's not already an indictment. Now, you might be saying to yourself, but Tina, this is United States Executive Order 13818. It has nothing to do with Greece. It has nothing to do with Honduras. Well, here's the thing. The executive order stated that if there was any physical evidence, any paper trail, or any electronic connection proving that they had participated in corruption, created or participated in crimes against humanity or civil rights, any of those things, automatic freezing of assets. They are not arresting anyone that they have not had an indictment for probably at least the last several years. Now, before I go on here too long, because I've already been here way too long, let's talk about this. First of all, in 2025, very silently, because I never heard about it, maybe you have not heard about this too. In 2025, this executive order number 13818 was not only renewed, but it was expanded in 2025. Okay, so those authorities of that executive order now have been broadened. And this new executive order, you can also look this up, that new executive order, which broadened the authorization, is executive order number 1203. And I swear to you that I'm getting somewhere with this. This 10 days of darkness we've been hearing about everywhere. I kept seeing it. I didn't know if Cuba was next, if Iraq was next, if somewhere, I don't know exactly who's next. The next message I got was at the end of November, but I sat on it and didn't say a word and haven't made a video in 2.5 months because I don't know the timeline of what I'm seeing. Just because it's social media, just because I'm a psychic and I can tap into things does not mean that my ego takes precedence over military action. When I saw the following military action, I didn't know if it was last night, if it's tomorrow or 6 months from now. I had a feeling it was close. So the vision that I had at the end of November and the message that I got was that the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation something, okay, was being swapped out for the Department of Justice. Now, I was talking to a friend, and I didn't even want to tell her this because even though I'm protected like the president, and there isn't anybody that can get to me or hurt me or do anything to me, again, I didn't want to disrupt the military chain of command. Just because I saw something doesn't mean that my popularity or my precedence takes precedence over foiling this military operation. So at the end of November, the message I got was that the FAA was being replaced by the Department of Defense. And I thought, now why would the Department of Defense be taking over our airspace? Okay, well, the only time the Department of Defense takes over airspace is in times of war, but no one's told us that we are in a time of war. Oh, but we are in a time of war because we have all these sealed indictments and we're arresting leaders from other countries. And not only that, there are going to be many, many people here in our country and even within, most assuredly, our government who will also be arrested. Okay. So What does that mean? Like the Federal Aviation Commission is now being taken over by the Department of Defense. That means, like I said, we are in a time of war. And though they have decided not to tell us that we're in a time of war, the majority of you, you understand that, you comprehend that, right? So the reason for that, and the whole reason that I told you that I saw them, the debriefing and them asking Trump to run for president in 2015, they asked him, and then seeing the meeting between Elon Musk and Trump in the beginning of 2021 is all because of this. There is no way at all that the United States military is going to sneak into some other country and arrest somebody without going off on the radar of every country. Even if the Federal Aviation Commission's not up there, the Department of Defense is there. Other countries have military in the water. How did we get in there and do this? Because it's not some greedy politician in the United States trying to play big shot and go arrest people in other countries because he's going out on a whim. And that seems to be like a consensus of many, many people. But I'll ask you to consider, how could our government, our president, and our military pull something like this off without the assistance of all the other big countries, military, Secret Service, and everything else? This is not the United States acting alone. This is not the president of the United States acting alone. It is not us going into any country on a whim. It is the United States, the sealed indictments that you've heard about forever. Now, where I'm going with this and how it connects to Starlink and this part. So this is 2.5 months of messages and visions that were not told to you because I didn't want to foil a military operation, not understanding for sure what timeline I was seeing. I only have my intuition, right? It is safe for me to dispense this knowledge now, hence the reason that I'm doing so. The Federal Aviation Administration being replaced by the Department of Defense was so that we could go into Starlink and leave it on for the whole world, but just turn it off in Venezuela. How do you think they got in and out of there without other country, not only other countries knowing about it, but other countries supporting it militarily? Because this doesn't have anything to do with the prime minister or the president or the security guard. This is the shadow government, what you've been waiting for, the cabal, the Illuminati, the deep state, the shadow government being taken down. And it's not, shadow government is not just playing in the United States, it's playing in Brazil, it's playing in Australia, it's playing in Canada, it's playing in theaters all over the globe simultaneously. There's no way without the assistance and knowledge and no hand and beforehand knowledge that our military could go in and do any of this. Now, it hit me after what, I guess 4 years later of seeing that meeting with Trump and Elon Musk. I don't know where the Starlink idea came from. Probably the alliance, probably interdimensional alliance, or even off-planetary alliance had this. Why? Because they're not going to do it for us, but they sure have been helping us and assisting us in so many ways, as many of you know. So where are we right now? We are at a place where we go into Venezuela and we just turn off the portions of Starlink in Venezuela that allow our government and Venezuela's government and China's government and Russia's government and the Ukraine government from doing anything. Venezuela cannot pick up the phone, cannot hit the panic button. They can't do anything because they have no connection to the outside world, because it's been terminated, because that portion of Starlink has been turned off. And that's why Elon Musk was pulled into this meeting with Trump in 2021. How are we going to get this to happen? where all the world is watching. Even me, you, and your brother and your mother are out there with video cameras, making videos, giving information, all this kind of stuff. So how in the heck are we ever going to pull this off? We're pulling it off by making it go dark, right? Can Tina make a video if she has no power in her house? Probably not, or not for very long. Can Venezuela say they need help? Can they hit any button to deploy emergency weapons? Can they do anything at all when Starlink is out, when their technology has no connection? No. So if you are having tech problems with your computer, with all of these things, our technology as a humanity is not perfect. So while they're messing with and doing these trial runs, if you will, you know, when, as I can see it, and you guys know that I'm the furthest person from tech savvy on the planet, but the way that it looks is when they turn portions of it off, let's say they turn it off over Venezuela just long enough to do the military action, it does have effects on the other chains or lights or mechanics within the rest of it. Okay, so we have a bunch of solar stuff going on as well. You're probably all aware of that. Definitely plays into it as well. What I clearly saw yesterday, and again, this is 2.5 months into messages and information and viewing things that are going on right now. They are going to just take that like portion of Starlink and turn that portion of Starlink off when they go into Cuba. They'll just turn it off in Cuba. They'll go to Iran and they'll turn it off in Iran. But back to what I started with, 10 days of darkness that we've heard about forever, the title of this video. What if this is just what happened yesterday, okay? I guess it was cold for too long. But what if 10 days of darkness had nothing to do with you and I not using our phone or using our internet? This was a military operation that took 10 days, and 10 days of darkness was, you know, a day of darkness in Venezuela, then a day of darkness in Cuba, then a day of darkness in Iraq. Okay, you get what I'm saying here? The more the military gets accomplished, and again, I'm not saying, yay, President Trump the savior. I'm not saying, yay, United States. Okay, I'm for humanity. I'm for sovereignty. I'm for freedom, health, happiness, and joy. That's what I'm for. These indictments are here for a reason. Crimes against humanity, automatic assets frozen. Hence, your assets that you've been waiting for will only come to you once the indictment is unsealed, the person is arrested, and they shut down the crime syndicate when they are able to say, this person, this person, this person, these heads of country, these people did this, frozen assets, then we have the assets to pay off the debt of the planet. Then we have the assets to pay off your personal debt. You've been told forever, maybe you found out yesterday, doesn't matter, that your school loans are defunct and your house payments are defunct. And yes, that's true. But logically and realistically, the money, wow, 3333, that money has to come from somewhere. And it's coming from the shadow government. But you can't sit there and say you want the money and you want the arrest and you want the indictments to be unsealed and then complain about the fact that we are going into other countries and causing mayhem, chaos, and disturbance. No matter which way this played out, there was going to be mayhem, chaos, and disturbance, because how else are you going to rid a shadow government? I don't think you understand, maybe some of you, how long this shadow government has been going on. The money that cancels your debt and allows you peace, freedom, and financial sovereignty is coming from the indictments, the arrest, and the freezing of assets, period, end of story. No matter what way you look at it, that is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And you guys always know that I always say, when I tell you something, it's not the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The fact that sealed indictments, arrested leaders, frozen assets leads to the reevaluation in your financial sovereignty is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's what I wanted to let you know. Again, if you want to look up Executive Order number 13818 or Executive Order 14203, you can trust me, you can not trust me, you can do whatever you want. Yes, and I think that was it. There is something brand new being born here with the financial system, okay? And you can't say, let me give Tina $500,000 when the banking cabal can just reach into my account and take it all away from me. Indictments, arrest, frozen assets, money for every country and every human. And it's the only way it's going to happen, because the problem was, part of the problem was printing money and inflation and all these upside down economics to begin with. So they're not going to say, okay, well, let's have a reset and let's just print everybody $500,000. That's an exasperation of a problem that already exists. That's where this money is coming from, and Starlink is being used, is going to be used so that it can be turned off, so that so this can be an in and out, simple, quick operation. And the majority of this information started coming at the end of November, and all the way through December. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything here. I think that's it. But again, this is a brand new for everyone on the planet. This is something humanity has never seen. This is about money, but it's more than about money. It's about discovering the source of your own inner true power. It's about being abundant and independent and being able to do what you truly love to do. Humanity is not going to stop working because they have money. They're going to finally go out and do what they've always wanted to do for money instead, okay? Tap into your higher wisdom. Don't say, oh, someone got hurt, someone got killed, someone got arrested. Look at America, this big bully. Again, I want to reiterate the fact that America couldn't have done this without Russia, China, and other places being involved in the plan. Okay, this is not the United States against a third world country. This is not the United States against any country. It is the alliance versus the shadow government. Okay. And again, there is shadow government, and maybe there are some small third world countries that don't even have computers, and maybe they're not complicit, compliant, or active in any of these things. But the majority of the places on planet Earth that live like we do, that have the internet, that have the money system, that have all these things, have corruption, because how else could the cabal do drug trafficking and child trafficking and the hundreds of other illegal crimes against humanity that they do without having this little lock chain of traffickers, bankers, lawyers, judges, okay? You're going to start seeing these people get arrested. We're starting with leaders of country first, because if we can get Venezuela, per se, disconnected from the crime syndicate, okay, then we do Cuba, then we do Iran. We're doing the big stuff first. We're getting the big stuff out of the hands of the shadow government. And then we will, it's all about the macro, the world stage, what is happening with humanity. We'll get to the minutia, okay? So don't be, super impatient. I know I can be the most impatient person ever, because I've known since I was a child that this was going to happen. And I'm like, give me a freaking break already. Let's do it, right? Again, your individual freedom financially, your sovereignty is coming from indictments, arrest, and the seizure and freezing of assets. You're not getting it any other way. I hope this made sense. And I know like I said, I've been gone, haven't made a video in 2.5 months. Actually, I tried to make a video and I tried to do like what I was told the correct thing to do was with my limited little channel. Don't talk to people, don't say hi to people, don't explain things that are the right. So the general guidance here was explain it in a way that every single person on the planet could say what you're saying. This message is not for every single person on the planet, but I did think, you know what, this channel could be doing better. So maybe I should do it this way. 4 times in one day, I attempted a video. I finally got the video done, which was not this subject. It was the subject that I was prompted to do. The fourth video came out and I was like, oh, it finally worked. And then I went back to hit the play button to make sure the sound was okay. There was no sound, zero. So I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it that way. Maybe there's a recipe for how to lose a man in 10 days, or there's a recipe on how to find a partner, or there's a recipe on how to get rich. When it comes to intuition, when it comes to all these superpowers being turned on within your DNA, there is no recipe for how I could say this to you. Thank you so much for being here, and hopefully this made sense. You know me, most of you know me well. If you individually need anything, reach out. I will be here. Now that I know that this military operation is in absolute full swing, I will not be missing in action for 2.5 months. You know how I am. I start channeling when I get on here. I knew if I got on here and this hadn't started, or I was going to give away something that was going to, again, disrupt the military plan. I don't live in my ego. This is not about likes. It's about connecting the dots for you and doing it in a way that's safe so that the Alliance can do what they need to do without me interrupting it. Thank you so much for being here. So much love, so much honor, so much integrity for you, for your choices, for your energy, and for your anchor of love on this planet. Until next time, this is the news that probably didn't make the news.